All right, everyone, we now have word that the Obama DOJ, which means Loretta Lynch, let this low-level Russian lawyer that's been implicated with the sort of Donald Trump Jr. stuff regarding the Russian adoption bullshit and everything else under the sun. She was allowed into the country visa-free under extraordinary circumstances. And it's beginning to look a little bit like the idea of it being some sort of undercover sting operation to test the Trumps is actually true. That is that, like, the Roger Stone line is true. But I'm going to read a little bit through this specifically so that I can pronounce the name properly so that I don't get it wrong here, because it's going to take me a little bit of effort. I'll just read a little bit from this article, and it's from The Hill, so it's not exactly like the most right-leaning journalistic outlet that you could possibly think of. Archived, of course, because I refuse to give ad revenue to any of these groups. The Russian lawyer who penetrated Donald Trump's inner circle was initially cleared into the United States by the Justice Department under extraordinary circumstances before she embarked on a lobbying campaign last year that ensnared the president's eldest son, members of Congress, journalists, and State Department officials, according to court and Justice Department documents and interviews. The revelation means it was the Obama Justice Department that enabled the newest and most intriguing figure in the Russia-Trump investigation to enter the country without a visa. Later, a series of events between an intermediary for the attorney and the Trump campaign ultimately led to the controversy surrounding the president's eldest son. Just 5 days after meeting in June 2016 at Trump Tower with Donald Trump Jr., presidential son-in-law Jared Kushner, and then Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, Moscow attorney Natalia Vetelnitskaya showed up in Washington in the front row of a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing on Russia policy. Video footage of the hearing shows. So let me get this straight here. This individual, who supposedly is like some high-level Kremlin spy, according to what the DNC is saying, according to what the left is saying, according to what the corporate media is saying, we're supposed to believe that this is like total Russian espionage agent mode, was actually led into the country explicitly by Obama's own Department of Justice, without a visa and without further word. Yeah, something smells a little bit fishy here. I'm not exactly quite sure what it is. Could it be Loretta Lynch's underwear? Possibly, but I think it's the story itself. This doesn't make any sense. It appears that what probably happened is that she was allowed in specifically as part of a greater sting operation, specifically if Trump won, I guess, to cast him off as a Russian agent to get him out of office or trouble his campaign or his presidency or something along those lines. Yeah, I think that this was an attempt to stop him. And I think it failed, and so they just decided, well, we're still going to go with the Russia line because it helps us cover our ass on everything. Our fans are so partisan, believe Trump is Hitler, they'll actually believe us when we tell them, don't look at the content of the WikiLeaks DNC dump, just it was Russian. It was Russian espionage, Russian hackers, Russian this, Russian that. Trump actually hardlines Putin, and that still makes him a Russian agent somehow. Now, I think something's rotten in Denmark, or more likely on the D.C. tarmac with Loretta Lynch and Bubba Bill. I think we now know what their conversation actually entailed, and I don't think it just had to do with Hillary Clinton's own investigative bullshit. I think someone decided that Trump was potentially dangerous. Now, let's look at the benevolent side. Not saying I believe this. Let's argue devil's advocate for a reason. We could envision a scenario in which Obama believes or has been led to believe that Trump actually is colluding with Russia and controlled by the Kremlin and was trying to stop him for the benefit of the nation. Judging from what we saw from Obama for 8 years and his level of contempt for the Constitution, I don't think that's likely. I think the most likely explanation for this is that Obama and the Clintons and the DNC heads all got together and said, oh shit, we can't really deal with this. We're going to need some heavier firepower. Let's bring in some Russian person who can sort of false flag his son. We'll see if we can penetrate to Trump himself They presumably failed, so they made do with, oh, we'll smear his son, it'll be good news. We'll release all of this bullshit that we have compiled slowly after developing basically the line that Trump is controlled by Russia. We'll start some, you know, kangaroo court investigations, and we'll keep feeding these tidbits to the media to keep his presidency unhinged as long as possible so we can stop him from actually dissolving globalism or something. I think that's what we're seeing here. Not a conspiracy so much as the DNC fighting for the survival of its platform. I think they're just as worried about the far left, the actual left within the Democratic Party, as they are people like Trump. I think they're trying to fight off both sides at the same time and beginning to fail because of the existence of social media. So you got a strange situation where someone who has been proclaimed a Kremlin asset, an espionage agent by the New York Times, by CNN, by people within the Democratic Party, was allowed into the country visa-free without further surveillance apparently, and was schmoozing with people in Congress openly and freely after being allowed in by Loretta Lynch's own say-so. That is the creme de la creme of fishiness. I think something's going on here. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump notices this fact and says, yeah, we might want to do our own investigation. I think we also need to frame this, now that this revelation has come out, in the context of why Jeff Sessions is basically ignoring the judiciary right now and proceeding with his own work and saying, no, I'm not going to give you all this Russian bullshit. I think he realizes, too, at this point. I don't even like Sessions, by the way. I think he's a drug warrior bullshit artist. But even Jeff Sessions understands, I think, something is going on here and they need to get to the bottom of it before the Republic is torn apart. And I think Trump's capable of doing that. I don't think he's... his critics want to call him inept. They want to say he's the chaos president, the White House isn't really functioning and nobody knows what to do. I don't think that's true. I think that all of these so-called leaks from within the White House are a combination, honestly, of Trump amusing himself by disarming the media, keeping them chasing ghosts, and people who are just disgruntled pretending to be in the White House. I don't think his ship of state is as leaky as they claim. Occasionally, you'll get an actual leaker or whistleblower, depending on what the revelation is. But I think, by and large, he runs a much more tight ship of state than people think. As for this, though, Loretta Lynch is corrupt. Well, we sort of already know that. It's kind of self-explanatory. There's no real need for digging for information on that one. If we assume she's corrupt, what reason would they have? If they actually... Obama's line... This is also important. Obama's line is, yeah, we already knew back then, a couple of years ago, something was fishy, and we kind of didn't take it seriously because we expected Trump to lose, which, by the way, bullshit. Bullshit. The President of the United States looked the other way because there was a campaign going on despite thinking that the Republic was endangered by a foreign state. Absolute bullshit. Either that shows you don't give a fuck about anything or it's a bullshit claim. Obama's entire line was, oh yeah, fishy stuff was going on, but we expected Clinton would win, so it wouldn't even matter. Like, you know, you're not going to overthrow the U.S. government from the Kremlin because he didn't have a chance, and the polls, you know, the bullshit polls that your own inner circle had to know that they were skewed. They had to have known this. You're the President of the United States. It's like Obama's bullcrap line on the NSA. Oh, this is the first time I heard about the fact that they unilaterally expanded every program under the sun. I campaigned on wanting to end this stuff, was really, really concerned about it as a candidate, but somehow I just started looking the other way. Once I took the oath of office, I had no clue. I just learned about it from the news. That was bullshit, and this claim is bullshit that he's making. It is bullshit. Obama's straight up lying to his own fans. No, he had no inkling of Russian involvement involving the Trump campaign. What was actually going on is they were manufacturing, in my opinion, that line in order to derail his campaign so that Clinton could win, running interference. When it didn't work, they said, oh shit, we've started this mess, we have to choose now. Do we back off and stop talking about it altogether? And by the way, the corporate media that needs clickbait, they might not even agree with us and just, they'll keep going? Or do we say, just go all in and say, okay, we're going to keep up with the Russia line and hope it cripples his presidency so that he's too ineffectual and there's too much chaos for him to fight back? I think they underestimated his capabilities. The fact that they've been attacking him nonstop since he took the oath of office, and in fact long before that, as someone who is unhinged and controlled by a foreign state. And the fact that he's still afloat and in office, I think, shows his fortitude. But yeah, something fishy's gone on here. Something very, very suspicious occurred under the Obama DOJ. That's the thing, though. Obama's DOJ was always suspicious anyway. You look at the Clinton investigation, the DOJ's leaning on Comey. Comey, it turns out, was writing some memos that contained classified info, and we basically only have the word of Obama-era officials that those weren't the ones that he leaked. They tried to do a fluff piece, I think it was it the Washington Post, explaining, they're like, oh yeah, but he wrote multiple memos. The specific memos that he leaked weren't classified, as though that increases the good feelings of the situation that you have the head of the FBI leaking material directly to the U.S. Corporate press or something like that. I think Loretta Lynch is in some hot water. I think Trump probably should come down on at least some of these officials, if not the Clintons and Obamas of the world themselves. Of course, Obama, he can always flee to Hawaii and just say, you know, we're going to start a Hawaii succession movement. I'm going to be the next king of Hawaii or something like that. Then he can have all the pineapple he wants. The thing is, I don't even care. It doesn't even matter. If Obama or Clinton are corrupt, they're not in office right now. But it does matter that the DOJ apparently, something weird went on at that time, where they tried to create a setup, or let's assume that Obama for once decided to tell the truth. He actually did think more Russia involvement. So they decided to have some random Russian lawyer come over to try to do all this so they could gain the ability to conduct surveillance on the Trump campaign directly. Does that not, at the very least, even if I assume totally benevolent motives at the start of all this, let's assume that that's the case. I don't believe it, but let me make that assumption. Again, play devil's advocate. Would that not, because the surveillance is being conducted and being shared across multiple agencies, wouldn't that not still violate election law? Wouldn't it still, at the very least, be dubious that all of that info regarding a campaign against the party of the standing president, the opposition party, the Republicans, wouldn't it be a little bit problematic and like a conflict of interest for all of that information to be shared across so many channels, even potentially foreign channels, through intelligence sharing? Wouldn't that be a problem? Because then you have all these bureau heads and stuff, they still have access to it. You have lower level individuals who may have access to at least some of it as well. You've got this FISA court ruling, yeah, we're going to conduct surveillance on the Trump campaign because of Russia, and you're actually sending in someone who appears to have been conducting espionage on the behalf of Obama's own DOJ, pulling that weight. That's suspicious at the very least. It's clear conflict of interests, I would say. So I think something bigger occurred here, and we're just starting to see the very beginning of the veil being peeled back on that one. Who knows if it goes anywhere? Within government, you have the tendency, some investigation, some major event happens, and then everyone just stops talking about it, nothing ever occurs. Like with Clinton's email servers, where she broke the law but gets off scot-free because the FBI's like, we don't have time to bother pursuing charges because she's just going to lawyer up and drag us through anyway. Probably Comey didn't expect Trump to win either. His miscalculation, that's why he's out of a job right now. And he was keeping tabs on everyone. He's a bit like one of those people, one of those standard authoritarians who they want to like have this police root through your trash to find out whether you're loyal or not or something like that. It's a little bit what Comey appears to me. Which means he's a good head of the FBI, because the FBI does weird shit like that. You should have been heading the CIA, then they could do that on a spaceship somewhere for the reptilians. Yeah, just joking, by the way, folks. I don't actually believe in that stuff. Yeah, Obama's DOJ is, things get weirder and weirder. I don't even know. It's a little bit confusing. That's about all. Peace out.